Well, welcome back to another edition of the Senior Hampton Football Netball League Wednesday night footy show. Great to be back once again. We must thank our sponsors too, Powercore, Sun Gold Milk, Coast FM 3YB, McDonald's, Southwest Tafe, Warrnambool Toyota, Piccolo Coffee, you name it, they do it. It's fantastic. Carter Group is another one that I often forget too, Hilly. There's just some awesome sponsors. Brandt, John Deere, no fear, of course. Lucas Brothers Butchers, Natalie and the team, of course, at
R&M Security.
R&M Security Service. They're on the balls, the reserves, footballs as well. Fresher Fruit Juice, our final sponsors as well. Gleason Real Estate for all your real estate needs too. Jezza and that just rebranded too, so which is sensational. And mate, looking forward to it's the King's birthday weekend, halfway point of the season.
Yeah, round 9. I'll tell you what, I don't think we've seen such a close season for some seasons, Maddie. Right from first down to seventh, like she's still really open. And last weekend, again, another round of football where we saw, some matches that maybe have gone different ways than the way we thought, the way we were going to tip, but it's great for the comp.
Oh, it is wonderful for the competition. It's one of the best we've seen for some time. Anyone on their day can effectively win. If you don't bring your A game, you're going to be in for a bit of a shock, I reckon. And even the way Cobden got out of the blocks and absolutely blew the Blue Baggers out of the water last weekend. And talking to Dan O'Keefe and a few of the Warrnambool boys during the week, they said they were unbelievable. I reckon the big wide open spaces at the Reed Oval certainly helped them.
And, absolutely.
Their best is good.
Yeah, and I think the other thing is, though, too, you look at sort of like Portland Hamilton, who probably haven't had the wins so far this season, but gee, they've played some good football over the course of the year.
Three quarters they've been in the game.
Exactly, and so I don't think their best is far off, the teams that are above them either. So yeah, even right down from 1 to 10, the comp's pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't forget too, coming up in a couple of weeks, and a squad announcement will come soon, the under-23 comp, which is going to be a sensation taking on the Ballarat Football League up at Mars Stadium, Saturday, July 1. We will be calling that one, and it is going to be absolutely sensational. Let's go to our Zoom chats tonight. We've got a couple of really, really special guests. The first one from the Hamilton Kangaroos. Rory Gill's been kind enough to join us. Rory, how are you, buddy?
G'day, fellas. Thanks for having me.
Mate, absolute pleasure. And we just touched on, mate, I know the wins haven't come for the Hamilton Kangaroos so far in 2023, mate, but you've been in a hell of a lot of contests, haven't you?
Yeah, I think we're just starting to play a good brand of footy now. So, last 3 weeks have been pretty impressive, I thought, just from the younger blokes. But, yeah, I reckon we're real close to a win, I think, yeah.
And Rory, looking at your side as well, and we've sort of spoken about it throughout the season so far, you're a young side, there's no doubt about it. You sort of haven't really actively gone and recruited too many players from other clubs or leagues. You're sort of really promoted within, and these kids are getting better and better each week. Hamish Cook, Zach Burgess, Urquhart. More games you're getting into them, they're getting better every time.
Yeah, that's definitely it. More game time, the better they're going to be. So we'll just invest in them and look for a bright future. So. Yeah.
And probably, Rory, the last 3 or 4 seasons in the Hampton, the Sunday junior competition, Hamilton Kangaroos have featured in the under-18.5 competition in grand finals. So there's a lot of talent coming through. Hasn't been easy to keep a lot of these kids. They're obviously going away to university and all that kind of stuff, mate. But the nucleus is there, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. It's hard to keep them sort of around the club, but I reckon with the new facility we're getting and everything, I think we should hopefully keep a few down here.
Hey Rory, a bit about your footy, mate. You sort of got an early start in your Hampton League career, only still relatively young yourself. How have you enjoyed this season so far, and how have you seen your form to date?
This season hasn't been too bad. I'm currently out with a shoulder injury at the moment, but hopefully I can get back in the next couple of weeks. Help the boys out a bit, so yeah.
Mate, tell us about the Hammer, Hamish Waldron. He played his 250th a couple of weeks ago, mate. He's a beauty, isn't he? The boys seem to want to play for him, don't they?
Yeah, definitely do. He's a leader, leads from the front, and love playing for him, and yeah, he's a good mate too, so love running out with him.
Looking at your last few weeks, and you said you saw the improvement, Rory. I reckon your goal kicking's turned the tables. Obviously, not a great start, and that might have cost you maybe a couple of games early on the season. But you seem like you've got a bit of continuity with your goal kicking now, so that must be pleasing. And hopefully that can sort of stick over the next few weeks and you can nab a few wins.
Yeah, I think it's all about a confidence thing. I think once they start kicking a few, they get up and about, so they get confidence in them, which is good.
Hey, mate, road trip this weekend, taking on the Camden Magpies, who were backing up a disappointing loss last week to the Port Fairy Seagulls. Before last week, their season was flying. And generally, these two clubs, when they come together, always have close games.
Yeah, we do always have a good challenge against the Magpies. They are always a physical side, and I reckon we can nearly match them with it, I think. But it'll be interesting to see how it goes.
What about big Yondre Slabbert? Is he far away from returning, Gilly, or is he still a few weeks away?
I think he's still a bit off. Might be 3 weeks possibly, but it'll be good to get him back in the side. But yeah.
Hey, Rory, great stuff, mate. We appreciate your time tonight in the work gear. You better give work a bit of a plug too, big fella. Give it a push here, mate, for you.
Yeah, no, just on the way home, so I had to pull over. But yeah, no, been good.
And what is it, Riddle Construction, mate? So building?
Yeah, building, yeah.
Love it, mate. Great stuff. I reckon Big Rids might have been a Hamilton legend back in the day too, if it's the same Riddle. That family and that name certainly been involved in the Hamilton Football Club for a long period of time. Good on you, Rory. We appreciate your time, mate. Good luck and be great to see you back in the coming weeks, bud.
Cheers. Thanks for having me, boys.
Great stuff. Rory Gill there from the Hamilton Kangaroos, a young rising star in the Hamilton Football
Well, I'm just
Netball
thinking
League.
to age group, and I know he said he's out at the moment with a shoulder injury, but I think he actually falls under 23.
Yeah,
so he would be maybe one, had been fit, he would have certainly been in contention in the Lee McCluskey book of names.
The little home brand book. He loves it, Leroy. Don't worry about that. Hey, another bloke that's in sensational form at the moment too, Luke Cody from the Warrnambool Football Club. A couple of big bags. Probably would have been a little bit disappointed with the loss last week. But Luke, thanks for joining us, buddy. You've been in good nick yourself, mate.
No worries, boys. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Hey, tell us about last weekend, mate, because it just seemed like the Cobden Bombers just got out of the blocks and got off to an absolute flyer, and the rest was kind of history, mate. You were kind of chasing tail all day.
Yeah, they come out of the blocks firing. So the first 10, 15 minutes, I don't think the ball come down our forward line. So they had 3 or 4 goals within 5 minutes. So we were on the back foot early, and sort of until the last quarter, we sort of pegged it back a little bit, but their ball skills and ball use for the whole day, they couldn't miss a goal. Like they were really good.
And I think it shows, Codes, too, like we're just speaking about it before, like the closeness of the competition. Like you guys had a close game with Port Fairy, close game with Koroit. I thought you were really competitive against South Warrnambool. So as Maddie said before, you've got to be on your mettle, for 4 quarters, or you can let the losses come that way, can't you?
Yeah, that's it. It's a bit of a strange season. Everyone's beating everyone. So one week we get up and knock off Tauranga, and then next week Cobden knock us off. So it is a bit of a strange year, but it's exciting. It's good for the competition, and it's good for everyone watching.
It is great for the competition. It is great for everyone. It's good to see some of those eastern teams in Cobden, Camden, Terang, Mortlake, all playing really, really good football. Hey, Coach, tell us about Dan O'Keefe. You've had a lot of coaches throughout your career, mate. You've played a lot of different levels of football. Tell us about Dan, because he's a beauty, isn't he?
Yeah, he's been amazing for the club, not just for me, but everyone individually. He's been really good from the juniors all the way up to the seniors. Total different game plan to what we had last year. It's a whole new game plan, and everyone's bought into it, which is good. But again, like it probably shows, like under 18s are going well. The reserves have only lost 1 game, and we're still learning the game plan. So he's been really good. Yeah.
Hey, Coach, has it taken a little while to sort of build that continuity with the game plan? Because I guess from looking at what you've done the last couple of seasons to this year, it's completely changed. Now, the way you guys move the footy and the way you guys position yourselves in your defensive setups looks a lot different to Warrnambool of the last few years. So has it taken a little while to sort of get used to it and implement it the way you want to?
Yeah, it definitely has. But we're still learning. We're getting to that point now where if someone else has to come and fill the role, they know what they need to do. But yeah, it's a total different game plan to what we've had before the last few years, and everyone knows their role. you just focus on your role and what you got to do, and if you can do that part, it hopefully get the win. But yeah, like I said, it's sort of filtering down to the reserves as well. They're doing the exact same thing as we are, so we're still learning. It's still going to take a little while, but we're getting there.
Mate, poor old Opie Weymouth, Big Dan, last week, last drill of training, breaks his arm, mate, shattering for the big fella because he missed, well, virtually the whole of last season with injury as well, mate. He just had a shocking run. He's just such a great guy too, isn't he, Dan?
Yeah, he's had a bit of a shocking run last couple of years with the collarbone last year, and again this year with breaking his arm at footy training on Thursday night. So, but the good thing is that Dan was still there on the boundary on Saturday, had the phone out and just still coaching the young fellas in the ruck, which is great. So he's still involved, and it's good to see it. It really helps out the young kids, like especially Eamon Radley, who stood up and played really well on the weekend. So it's good to have that coaching from the sidelines as well.
Hey, Coach, something we haven't seen Warrnambool do is sort of go out and get players, whether it's, from far away and a big bunch of them. You might have had one or two that sort of filtered through, but you've got the 4 boys from up north that have come down. Been really impressed with Hooker, the games we've seen. I think Morgan Morris gives you a really good contest, and Ryan Wolf, I reckon, is just starting to warm to the level. Obviously a little bit different to NTFL, but he's starting to warm to the Hampton League system. Yeah,
definitely Hooks is a big part of our back line, that's for sure. We've got a raking left foot kick, so we definitely use that to our advantage. And then Warpy with his speed and skill, he goes really well. So, and then Heath Morgan Morris, he can really crash a pack and kick a few goals. So, yeah, they're exciting. They're starting to learn the way that this league sort of play compared to up there, where it's quite a bit different. So, no, they're getting there, and I'm excited for the second half of the year to see what they can do.
Before I let you go, mate, how many pairs of boots have we got in the collection now, big fella?
Oh, jeez. I had about 24, and I actually gave a brand new pair away to Finn Parkinson the other week. So they're a little bit too small, and I reckon I tried them on. I hadn't even worn them, so he's got a fresh new pair of boots.
Hey, Coach, well, we're doing you guys this week. So when do you sort of decide what boots you're going to wear before a game? Is it like game day? Do you have a bit of a plan before a couple of days out? When do you sort of decide what boots you're going to wear for the coming week?
Oh, it's a bit of a strange one. It just depends on the ground as well. Like the Red Oval is pretty hard, so I like a bit of a short stud boot. But if I go down to, I guess, Cobden or Camperdown, the ground's a bit softer, I might go a bit of a longer stud. But yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I just wear it at training, and I might wear the same boot for the whole year, and then probably won't see him for another 3 or 4 years and bring him back out again. So, I don't know. It's just how I feel on the day. Yeah.
I love it, mate. It's great stuff, and it's working for you. Make no mistake about it, being in great form. Hey, good luck this weekend, of course. It is our Hammond League Live match of the day. North Warrnambool Eagles take on the Warrnambool Blues. Big game. It's an 8-point game for mine, for both you guys and the North Warrnambool Eagles. It's going to be a beauty.
Yeah, it's going to be a cracking game. We definitely need to win, and so do they. It's always a pretty fiery match, which, it's going to be pretty exciting to watch, I think, especially for you boys and everyone else watching. So, and even for us players playing, it's always pretty feisty. So we're pumped, we're ready. So it'll be good.
Good on you, mate. Great to talk to you as always, buddy.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Luke Cody there from the Warrnambool Blues, Rory Gill from the Hamilton Kangaroos, and Hilly, our Hammond League Live match of the day last week. The Port Fairy Seagulls made it their second win for 2023. Of course, no wins last year in 2022 for the Seagulls. They were up and about. They come to play. They've been in fantastic form all year without getting the 4 points, and they absolutely polarised the Camden Magpies, didn't they?
I reckon when Dusty would have done the game review, he would have ticked off nearly 3.5 quarters. Yep. Tick, 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 tick. They played a really good brand of footy, and it sort of just stuck together. And their starts have been, I guess, their Achilles heel. But yes, on Saturday, they were terrific. They started well, and they nullified Camperdown's game. They wanted that quick ball movement to go in through the corridor. They just didn't allow it to happen. And so that pushed them wide, and they just got into a little bit unfamiliar territory. So, yeah, Port Fairy, well-executed game plan. But I thought more than anything, their defensive work was equally as important too, which nullified the amount of goals that Camperdown kicked.
Yeah, well, let's have a look at the highlights from our Hammond League Live Round 8 match of the day, the Seagulls and the Camperdown Magpies. And as we just touched on, they got out of the blocks, which hasn't happened all season. They've been charging home late, the Seagulls, but their first quarter was magnificent, Hilly.
Yeah, it was. And I'll tell you what, I was impressed to see this boy. Hamish Sinnott, really good player. Sully was our best on ground and Matthews Petroleum player of the day. He was everywhere and started on the midfield, but then obviously just sort of plugged the holes that Dusty needed him to for the Seagulls. But yeah, really nice player. Riley Arnold, they're glad to have him back. He took a nice mark there and was a real key component across half back. But yeah, Sully, Rowan, they were sort of some of the main ones in the first quarter. They got the Seagulls firing.
We come out in the second quarter, Hilly. We're kind of half expecting, I think, the Magpies to get themselves back into the contest. And they started off well. That was a huge goal from right on 50 by Big Flash Gordon. And we started to see, Spence get his hands on it. But it was this man, wasn't it, Matty Sully? He played ruck rover all day and he just stood up, didn't he?
Yeah, he was terrific. And I reckon their back six was terrific. Will Goody, Colin Harwood was terrific, along with Big Matty Sully. Their back six was really, really sound. Watch this for a mark too. Courageous personified. Look at that. Just eyes on the footy and went back with the flight. But I thought too, Richardson and Rowan was a really interesting matchup as well. It was just they were nagging and niggling at each other all day and there was nothing untoward. It was just a good old-fashioned full forward versus full back battle.
And here's Jetty Hopper, the Horsham boy, slotting a really important goal to start that third quarter. Andy McNeil was just magnificent all afternoon for the Port Fairy Seagulls. He was in the Pit Stop Menswear MVP voting as well, Hilly.
Yeah, he got two. Matty Sully was our three voter. He's terrific, just everywhere. I reckon he would add 15 marks and probably about 30 touches, and he kicked a couple of goals as well. So, a player that could probably play centre half back, start in the midfield and go forward and kick goals. It's just priceless. But
what about the kid too, Oscar Pollock and the other kid, Ollie Myers? They were both fantastic.
Well, Myers had the job on Sinnott early in the centre bounces as well. This young fella too, Robinson. Well, I shouldn't say young. He's been around for a while, but what a matchup!
That was a good matchup, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a great matchup, and he just defended ball after ball after ball inside forward 50, and Big Sammy Gordon just couldn't get into the game. Great goal from Mitch Ryan here. He's a young, exciting live wire player. Kicked 2 goals in the last quarter and provided some highlights, but at the end, Port Fairy did enough over the first 3 quarters. It was a bit of a dormant last quarter. That was just, more or less, they'd done what they needed to. They're up by 8 goals. And they sort of just really slowed the play down, but impressed by the Seagulls.
Well, turn our attention to this weekend, King's birthday long weekend. So the halfway point of the season after this weekend's round of matches, our match of the day, North Warrnambool Eagles taking on Warrnambool. It is going to be a belter, mate. And I said it before, it's an 8-point game. It is. All these games at the moment are nearly 8-point games because you're playing for your spot in that final 5.
Yeah, well, that's right. I think North Warrnambool are just outside the 3, only by percentage, and then obviously Warrnambool and North are inside that top 5. Croydon just outside, and there's been a merry-go-round the last couple of weeks with positional places and so forth. So you're right, 8-point game. Traditionally, really good battle between these two sides. So it's a real flip of the coin at the moment. I sort of haven't decided where I'm leaning to.
And the other contest I reckon that's got a fair bit in it is Terang Mortlake and Koroit.
Yep.
The Koroit Saints, they need to start putting a few wins in the bank as well because they can't afford to let their season slip away because it's so tight in that middle rungs of that ladder.
Yeah, spot on. And obviously we know they've got a few players to come back. I think Harrington played in the reserves on the weekend and there's still got a couple to come back over the coming weeks, but you don't want to be getting too far behind because then it's a lot of work to catch up. And as we know, the competition, it's so tight that you can certainly lose your mark pretty quickly. Yeah. So I know that they'll have a big emphasis on this game, really important one. But in saying that, Terang Mortlake, they're playing a real good brand of footy. Louis Taylor was terrific on the weekend. I think we'll see him get better over the coming weeks.
Hey, Cobden South, the Bombers are going to be up and about, back on their home deck. They'll want a massive scalp. Big crowds have been getting to their home games. Yep. They're going to be up and about too. So the Roosters will want to be on their mettle this weekend.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't know what their personnel's like. I know they're sort of gradually getting a few more of the Roosters, but Cobden, historically, no matter whether they're last and Roosters are first, the battle between the two is really, really strong. Yep. So this could come down to the wire, I reckon, too, because we know Cobden's best is certainly good enough, but the Roosters are pretty strong across the board.
And I'll tell you what, Portland will be looking for their second win of the season when they take on the Port Fairy Seagulls. Generally, these games are always really tough and hard and physical. And as we said, they've been in contests the whole year.
Well, I think they had 2.5, nearly 3 quarters of good footy against the Roosters. It was just that one quarter that let them down a little bit. I think Ben Malcolm, I've heard, has been back training. Whether he's playing, I'm not sure. Sharp played 2 weekends ago. Didn't play on the weekend gone. They might get him back. So if you start adding some of these key players in, it certainly changes their fortunes a little bit. I think Port Fairy win. Rowan, 2 more goals. So he needs ones to equal Tony Russell.
Huge.
And then if he gets 2, he gets the league record, which is well deserved. And he was pretty close on the weekend.
Yeah.
He had 2 to 3. I think he might have 3 shots in the last quarter. And I think heavy footy, 45 metres out, just made it a little bit harder. So he's close.
He's actually in really good nick. He's,
He's
playing good footy.
Yep.
He's presenting, and he's certainly putting a contest on.
Yep.
And I reckon they'll be pretty happy with the output that they're getting from Jason Rowan this year, the Port Fairy Seagulls, that is for sure. And what a huge achievement it'll be when he does break it. It's
might
not
be the
if,
guest for
it's
next
when.
week if he does it.
That's it.
Yeah,
That's
we
it,
might have to get him on him.
And we might even try and get Tony Russell. He works weekends at the jail, Big Rusty. I did have a great chat to him last week on the phone, and he's rapped that Jason Rowan's going to break the record. He's a great man, Rusty. Always has been. Hey, wonderful weekend of football this weekend, that is for sure. It's going to be huge. Our match of the day, of course, you can stream it live on the 3YBFM Facebook page or tune into 3YBFM to listen to it each and every week. It's a wonderful coverage, that is for sure, and this weekend will be no exception. And don't forget, plenty of other stuff coming up too in the coming months. It's going to be absolutely magnificent. Hilly, you have a wonderful weekend. Long King's birthday weekend. I'm not going to be here this weekend. I'm actually away for the weekend. But, mate, I'll be tuning in from afar and having a look and seeing and hoping that it's going to be a ripping round 9 action. That is for sure.
I think we'll have a pretty sound game at Bushfield. And as Luke said before, it's always historically a really good contest between the Blues and the Eagles. So fingers crossed we get something very similar on the weekend. And
mate, you're looking very fit, to be honest, big fella. You've been getting out to Warrnambool 24/7 gym and fitness. Rooster Row on the team, the high altitude room. So the Hammond League Live team's been getting out there, and a few other people as well, for a couple of sessions a week. And I must admit, it makes a difference. I'm blown away. Like even just watching a few of you boys just improving and getting better and feeling better and that every week.
I think the mental health side of things and the health side of things. But one thing we're talking about Rooster too, and doing a great job. If you've got an injury, that high altitude room is really good for rehabilitation. So if you've got a hamstring or a shin splints or whatever. The science and the research suggests that high altitude room's really beneficial. So, any Hampton League clubs out there looking to try and, just improve their players' injuries or whatever, 100%. Or help them along, go see Rooster Row and the team at 24/7 because, the research suggests that it certainly helps.
Well, Dan O'Keefe, the Warrnambool coach, he came to one of the sessions last week, and I'm pretty sure he's going to get the Blue Boys in there at some point in time as well and start using it a bit more, which is fantastic to see. It does have its benefits. Warrnambool 24/7 gym, the high altitude room, something a little bit different. If you're looking for that extra edge, go and see Rooster and Katie and the team out there at 24/7 gym. Hilly, have a wonderful weekend.
You too,
Hope to see you at the footy and the netball this weekend. Round 9 action in the Hampden Football Netball League.